Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, I'm Sue Minahan, and this is Talk Cosmos, insightful conversations to awaken your soul, girls. And today is February 25th, and we're in the october season of Pisces, and our theme, our whole subject happens tomorrow. It's Chiron, the Centaur, out there between, well, we'll show you where it's at in one of our slides, between the Kuiper belt and the asteroid belt on the outer side of the universe. And it is conjunct the North Node, which is a moon and sun orbital joining path. It's healing. It's dynamic. It is a pathway to walk for our destiny, for our very best emotional being, to construct all our projects that we wish. And I had so much more. We're going to talk a lot more about it. So this is Aries Chiron and North Node Forge Identity. And now we're ready for Kaleidoscope Visions.
Associating current astrology transits to a real-life natal chart transit reading through the understanding of the sky's cosmic consciousness for navigating free will options, this is your Kaleidoscope Visions Panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, collaborating with guests weekly since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, workshop facilitator, and lecture speaker. I'm a Dwarf Planet University graduate, charter member of Kepler Astrology Toastmaster Club. I have an AA degree and a fine arts music degree in jazz. I'm a certified color energy life coach, a writer, artist, musician, and ardent mythologist, a student of esoteric philosophies and life.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And I am John Chenworth, an astrologer from Seattle, Washington. I grew up in southern Arizona and was so obsessed with mythology that I concretely imprinted the Greco-Roman pantheon into my psyche. I still see those gods and goddesses infused into everything around me. My experiences of working with developmentally disabled and resource students for many years as both teacher and mentor has given me a strong compassion for others and has seasoned me with an exceptional reconciling energy. I have more than 18 years experience reading natal charts and continue to enhance consulting techniques by attending workshops and conferences. I use a unique blend of evolutionary, archetypal, and traditional astrological methods to look for themes in the birth chart for us to explore. I also enjoy penning poems and exploring Washington State on road trips.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Well, hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, John.
We are.
Yes, indeed. Amanda, I'm fine. And for our audience, Amanda is at a retreat. She's away this month, and she'll be back next month. And so John Chenworth and I are going to talk about this Aries North Node and Chiron at 16 degrees, happening tomorrow on the 19th of February. And if you want to reach John, he's at skypathastro.com. And of course, I'm at talkcosmos.com. Shall we just jump in and explain a little bit about this Centaur, John?
Absolutely. Here's Chiron. Chiron floats around between Saturn and Uranus, and Saturn's a visible planet. Uranus is not. So it's that borderline between what's visible in the solar system and what's not. So it comes into view, then it goes and disappears for a while. So it's a very interesting entity. Another thing about the duality of it, when it was discovered, they thought, is it a comet? Is it an asteroid? What is this thing? And they kind of created their own name for it, a centaur, which there are many in that belt. They called the Centaur belt.
Yes, indeed. And it is among centaurs quite individual, which we'll discuss.
I think it's the largest one so far discovered.
Yeah.
So it was easy to see, I guess. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yes. And what you had said about the crossing, which I have here, it crosses Saturn and Uranus. It's that merging and that wonderful experience of healing between the known factors and breaking the pattern into the intuitive patterns.
It invites you to go from what you know into what is the unknown. And Chiron in mythology was a teacher, and he would lead you to those places and guide you there. It's a really wonderful astrological tool.
Yes. And he's a demigod because of his parents being both, one was a human and, pardon my tongue today, but anyway, human and God. But he's a wounded master healer. There's a story, quite a famous one, where he was wounded by an arrow at Hercules from his 12 labors and was unable to heal it, which is so significant. But in asking for Zeus, the god of all gods, the god of the gods in the heavens, said, well, okay, you can exchange the place with Prometheus, who is being punished by giving fire. He represents Aquarius often too, to the humans, meaning that it's in this exchange of sharing our wound that we find healing, because then it was put into the.
We become kind of like experts on how we're wounded, and a way for us to heal ourselves is helping others going through a similar path or whatever they're going through. We can relate to them, and we can probably guide people.
Yes. And the very fact that he's half horse, which is our instinctive animal nature, and half man of a rational divine nature, is that beautiful integration of not ignoring one or fragmenting.
Right. Notice that he is a centaur, half horse, half man, right? He is not the constellation Sagittarius. A lot of people think, oh, he's Sagittarius. He's not. Sagittarius, the constellation in the zodiac, is a far more ancient constellation. He was kind of a warrior energy. Chiron was placed in the sky as the constellation Centaurus, as a centaur, but it's a little bit, I think, farther south. So there's two centaurs in the sky.
Good point. Good point. And the transit of Chiron in Aries is one of the longest, along with Pisces. It's 8 years. It started April 17th, 2018. It was 1 week, or maybe 2 weeks, 10 days actually, after I started Talk Cosmos. Because I remember in that month, and you remember too, that we were bringing in Chiron in Aries, and Uranus was leaving Aries. And I remember saying, handing the torch over. Uranus was giving it to Chiron. And I noticed that in the charts, Uranus is quite prevalent. So it's an interesting.
It's an interesting thing when these two gods talk to each other. When Uranus is very sudden and surprise, time for change. And Chiron brings, we got to do some work here. We got to really look at things, slow down. Right.
And often it's because of all that change that it augments it. Yeah, it brings it to the front. Well, he's
poor Chiron chasing Uranus. Kind of feel bad for it.
And he taught many things: medicine, music. He was a mentor to all. Want to briefly talk about the nodes? Some of our audience, it's new. These are meeting points. It means a meeting point. They're points. They're not actual objects, and it's between the two orbits of the moon's path, going with our ecliptic path, which is the orbital path, the apparent path of Earth going around the sun. And they intersect so that when the moon is ascending, that's the north node, and when it's descending, it's the south node, and it actually weaves around, and it's an 18-month collective process. And our whole galaxy is going northward towards Vega. Well, Polaris is our north node, but it's still heading towards Vega, away from Sirius, meaning the north is where we're venturing and integrating in to improve what maybe we've overlooked in our past.
And the South Node tends to deal with what we know and understand from previous lifetimes, where we come in with that experience, and the North Node is all just brand new territory. You all have that in your chart, and it's very exciting to look at.
Yes.
So it's interesting that we're going in a northern direction. That's very interesting.
It is. It really helped because people, and I myself was wondering, well, okay, but why is this? But again, it reconfirms that it isn't, there's practicality. I mean, not just practicality, but there's actual physical form that then breeds is the word I wanted to bring, but I don't know if that's appropriate. But it shares, so many of the fact that Chiron goes between the two orbits of Saturn, and Uranus, for instance.
So maybe they have a lot in common in their unknownness and what they explore. Chiron and the North Node, they're probably good things to explore together. They're often very dynamic in the chart, right?
Oh, John, you're fun. I like that. It's very invigorating. I like it. So here, one idea is going on that lead is that it stirs our need to walk that path. Yeah, exactly. Did I lose my slide? I just accidentally to our deepest identity. Yep.
We could talk about Chiron in Aries. So if Chiron is carrying the wound in Aries, it would be a soldier wound or a fighter wound or a standing up for yourself kind of wound.
Identity. It really gets down to identity.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's self. There's something in the self that just hasn't been. And then again, if it's new, we haven't actually allowed ourselves to exhibit that. But and Aries is, of course, ruled by Mars, so it's action.
That's why I always go to warrior with Aries. It's like the first thing my brain goes to.
Oh, well, we do, it does defend our causes, but then again, it can't do it in a peaceful way. It's just that if people get in the way, that's not such a good idea. Anyway, I laugh. The time is happening, and this is tomorrow on the 19th, 2024, is in London, UT or GMT, General Greenwich Mean Time, is going to be at 9 p.m. 9 p.m., 12 minutes and 20 seconds. On the East Coast, it's going to be 4 p.m., 12 minutes and 20 seconds. In the West Coast, it's going to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which is just about 24 hours from now, isn't it? Almost exactly. It is exact. Yep. 12 minutes and 20 seconds. And here in Hawaii, it'll be in the morning at 11 a.m., 12 minutes and 20 minutes. Because we have an audio podcast. I thought I would let them know. Here's our chart, John.
Lots of things going on.
Yeah, I have another chart that I just circled to show people instantly. It is an Aries chart. So in other words, the houses aren't represented.
So to our viewers, the North Node is a horseshoe. If you look inside that circle, and opposite is the flipped horseshoe, which is the South Node. They're always opposite each other. And a good thing to know is also the planets move forward and nodes move backwards through the zodiac.
Yes, it's that primary, like Earth going from west to east. Mm-hmm. It's always interesting how we have the two motions moving. So here, this is a chart for this transit tomorrow. And I did circle, as one can see up at the top right-hand corner, the conjunction with the sun, which is really still at 0 degrees Pisces, but it's conjunct within 7-8 degrees to both Saturn and Mercury. There's a lot of clarity of thought. And
useful in Pisces, right? Finding some solid ground to stand on when you're kind of in the storms of Pisces.
Really to try to find out what's essential. Yes, because this particular transit, North Node in Chiron, although the North Node is also conjunct Aries, which stays at a point for a long time, and it has been at 24 degrees Aries for, I don't know, a year, but at least since since last year. But there aren't any other aspects. So it's almost like a singleton in a way. It's really, it has that conjunction between them. So it's really operating in its own dynamics.
It's like all the other planets quieted down so these two could speak, right?
I guess, yes, that could be a good way. Now, our moon, because when it comes to wounds, it's the emotional presence, has quite a few aspects. And the moon is just in early, why didn't I circle it, Sue? Well, no, it's at 9 degrees Cancer, so it's very intuitive. It's an intuitive moon. But it's trine, meaning supportive to that master of wanting the essential things, the time, it's time oriented because the moon is processing time and Saturn is, that's phases, and Saturn is this is essential. It's due. It's happening now. So, but it's traditional time.
We say classically, a mother and a father working well together, mom being the nurturing mother, and this is classical, of course, and then Saturn being the nurturing father, kind of having your back or something. That's what it feels like to me.
It's good because they're looking across to Ceres, which is a dwarf planet. Again, one of these that they didn't know which it was, but it is a dwarf planet, and she is nurturing and grief. So it's this whole involved with this whole process of, our wounds grieve us, and it's also how we nurture ourselves and how are we going to find that and that clarity of thought with Mercury.
Ceres being the farming goddess of the Romans, I always put in there nurturing and how we take care of ourselves. Self-care comes into play with Ceres a lot.
Yeah, and wherever it's located, that's how we can find that nurturing. In this particular, it's not in a house right here, but Ceres is in Capricorn, early Capricorn for people, is 4 degrees Capricorn. So it really wants to talk to Saturn. So that's a good, communication, even though it's opposite. It's looking at awareness,
right.
Like how are we going to work together? What's happening?
And it's the last planet finally getting out of Capricorn. It's been a long Capricorn parade.
It has, indeed. It's true. And Capricorn's still saying, or Saturn's still saying, you know what? With this Aquarius, I'm on the sidelines too. Don't think with Uranus.
Saturn's had a strong reign because it rules both Capricorn and Aquarius in traditional astrology. So Saturn has been on the throne for a while, kind of enjoying himself.
Well, he's not quite there alone anymore. Uranus is strong and upsetting the whole apple cart, just like it does. It spins sideways and backwards. Well, Mars, which rules the North Node, is square. That means activating the big ideas, the big belief systems. So there's a lot of this is a very dynamic transit that wants to look at the whole big picture of belief systems, and
kind of to wake up the communities, wake up humanity in general, right?
I like it. Now, Sabian symbols are spiritualist symbols that were in 1925, and they're for each astrological sign degree. And this in this particular one for Chiron, and it's always the next degree, although there is before, during, and after. But for us, we're just going to do the after degree, meaning it's, why did I put 16? I meant to put 17 there. Rats, mistakes. Oh, here you go. Perfection. I'll make a note. But it is 17 degrees, and it's 2 prim spinsters sitting together in silence. And Linda Hill, besides Dane Ruchar, which I simply adore, but Linda also is very astute. And she brings us up some important points here, that withdrawing might be what's featured, but we could be isolated, and because we might just be comfortable with just a few to interact with, but so realize that could be a false security that isn't stopping you from changing and growing, because everything about Chiron has got to grow. Otherwise, you're stunted in this hard issue.
What's really interesting about this Sabian symbol, it's almost smack dab in the middle of Aries, which is like, let's go forward, let's fight, let's do what we need to do. And here you have this degree going, wait, we're going to sit here and think about it. So with this degree is an energy of what just happened? What are we getting into? So this is like a big comma in the middle of Aries, right? If that's a thing that could happen.
I like that. That is so visual.
It's a really weird Sabian symbol, right?
Yeah, and
it's
it is
placement.
17 degrees, actually, for folks. If you're looking at it, a big boo-boo by Sue
17,
here.
yes.
Yeah, and so really what it is instead of just going forward, it is almost like that pause, as you say, or retrograde, all in a kin, because you're looking for opportunities. It's like, well, what else could be new besides what I was storming instinctively towards? And a lot of it has to do with opening up that emotional blockages, which is just fascinating because that's really so much with Chiron.
I was thinking there could be some regret with that too, like what maybe about actions taken, and you're kind of thinking, thinking about what happened.
Very good. Now we have a volunteer, Jennifer, who will be coming on after the half hour, and this is her natal chart. It's January 11th, 1978 at, oh my goodness, I think it's 9:07 p.m. Somehow I missed that there. And in Hempstead, New York. So the rising sign is in Virgo, 13 degrees, midheavens in Gemini, 10 degrees, and her sun is in Capricorn, of course, that's during the archetype, and later Capricorn, 21 degrees. In fact, reminds me, it's very close to that 2020 conjunction with Pluto and Capricorn. I bet that was a very dynamic time for her when they were at 22 degrees Capricorn. That was a stellium, with everything. Oh my goodness. It'll change for everybody, but for her, probably maybe a lot of deconditioning, which Pluto and Saturn want to do.
When I look at the sun, moon, and rising, I love that. Well, Venus is in Capricorn next to the sun. So that's like, march up the mountain and get the work done. But Venus says soften that a little bit. And then you have a stormy moon in Pisces, which adds a little bit of a storm to it. But the rising sign is in Virgo, which gives this practicality to it. So there's a great access to doing physical work, I guess, and also being emotional, being okay with that, and being able to balance the two and to observe maybe what's going on. Does that make any sense?
Well, a moon in Pisces wants, it's a matter about boundaries. It's beautiful, it's spiritual, it's imaginative, it's compassionate. It's in the sixth house too. It could be a natural healer of some sort. It'll be interesting to see what her vocation is, but daily life. And so I wonder if she has a meditative practice, but otherwise, because Pisces works on that emphasis, and if you're not relating to that, it can be where's the boundaries, because it doesn't have, it's sloppy, right? I mean, right now Saturn's in Pisces. In fact, I guess Saturn's been going over her moon. It's probably been quite sobering.
The moon is kind of well-tempered with having the opposition to Saturn, so putting a check on all the uncontrol of Pisces, but it's also trine Jupiter, which gives a little bit of freedom. So maybe there's a good balance here.
Yes, growth, expansion, and contraction.
Yeah.
Very excellent. Yeah, it's a real fluid. And her moon is sextile, connected. That means it's like working together, it's in conjunction. I mean, it's not in conjunction, it's connected to Chiron. And that is in Taurus, which is again of the body. So she might be a healer already of some sort with the body, you would think. It's in the 8th house. It'll be
60 degrees. The sextiles like being on the team. So Chiron and the moon, teammates working together. Yeah. I like it when those two planets come together. I think they're very helpful with each other. They're both intuitive.
One factor to add before we go to the bi-wheel, is that conjunction with her natal sun of self with Libra of, Libras are what we're attracted to, what attracts from our desires to us, and of course rules two signs, Libra and Taurus, of other with Libra, which is the south node, and actually the provisions of our survival with Taurus, but it is in that tension-oriented, action-oriented square to Pluto of transformation with the north node in her chart, meaning that she probably changes quite a bit as she goes ahead. Or else relationships, it's in Libra. Relationships are powerful all the way down the line.
And if we take a more, so relationships are there definitely, but another aspect of Libra is like the diplomat, the negotiator, arbitrator, trying to work out a deal, or right. I want things to be fair. Things have got to be fair.
Here we have a bi-wheel. We have just a few minutes. We might go a little over. The inner chart is Jennifer's on January 11th, 1978, and that was 9:07 p.m. in Hempstead, New York, Eastern Standard Time. And the natal, the transit, which is tomorrow, February 19th, and this is Eastern Time. You could choose any, but it's 4:12 in the afternoon. So here, it's flipped nodes, meaning that it's an 18-year period also, besides being 18 months in one sign, and they're reversed. So her south node is in Aries, which is self-oriented, and the one that she's headed to is the partnership, the duality with gaining with other people. So Chiron, this nodal is very important for her to be maybe more inclusive. It'll be interesting. What do you think about that?
I was thinking maybe somebody could come into her life that would be a healer type. Could be an opening to do some kind of therapeutic work.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking? Eris, Eris, folks, who is another dwarf planet, the sister of Mars, is all about exclusion and inclusion. She wasn't invited to a party and she started the Trojan War, not deliberately, but it's a whole wonderful mythology that John and I and others have and we'll talk about. But this is where perhaps she feels somewhat rejected. And so it might be a liberation going forward in some new path, because maybe she's giving more to that Libra partnership to others and losing herself and needs to regain.
So Eris also as a goddess of protest, or this is a wrong and this has to be made right, or this is the boundary. Come on, people, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is that Mars, that rules, because all planets are dispository and rules by itself, Aries, is in opposition right now. Her natal is 5 degrees Leo in the 11th. So she really loves groups and maybe activates groups and reigns somewhat as the royal leader there, or at least well observed and noticed. But here it's in that opposition with that 3 conjunction, tiny little stellium, with Venus, Mars, and Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house are saying, hey, maybe we need to get, not maybe, but let's focus on your creativity. You might be shining in the group, but what about you? Let's get that self all inclusive and rise to the top.
There's also might be a struggle with, do I wear the crown or do I give away the glory? So the Mars and Aquarius is like, maybe put the crown away and let somebody else shine and help them shine, or maybe I need to put the crown on myself and wear this thing. So there could be a dynamic of that. It's also that opposition is 11th, 5th, which are Leo Aquarius houses. How am I participating?
Absolutely. The duality speaks all over. Well, thank you so much. We are going to cut away for just a little bit and then bring Jennifer on, and we'll find out How does this work? And how can we relate to all of these dynamic introductions of our greater becoming who we are? Thank you, John. I think we're going to take a break. David, are we going to do that? Are you there? Maybe he had to step away. We're working with, there we are.
There we go.
Things all happen. Hey, we're at that pause point, right? 17 degrees Aries. Okay.
While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Pisces, ruled modernly by Neptune and by Jupiter in traditional astrology of the ancients. By leaving a cycle based on the equality of all humans and brilliancy, Pisces concludes the 12 signs that energetically encompass the entirety of the universe, where humans have no control. As a mutable water sign represented by two fish swimming in opposite directions of the forces of life, we experience in Pisces the collective unconscious energy of the unknown. Intuitive, psychic Pisces completes the seed cycle, initiated with Aries' willful separation from the Piscean womb.
This is Martha Norwalk, every Sunday morning beginning at 9 a.m. Thanks in part to Linda Rasmussen at verticalenergyworldwide.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, March 3rd, it's Shelter Rescue Sanctuary and anything that helps our animal friends Sunday. We'll check in with Now.Cat Rescue, Help Animals India, and talk with Beth and Merritt Clifton from animals24-7.org and the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga. Hope you can join us, Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific on KKNW. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
Wherever you go, Alternative Talk 1150 is here for you.
I think our mic isn't on.
Chiron,
There you are.
you have to find it. Well, I was telling people I wrote a blog. I haven't for years. In fact, yeah. So check out Talk Cosmos because it's a new project. And I think this is the courage to begin. I was going to ask you, John, do you have a courageous, I'm putting you on the spot, courageous project that's in tow right now?
A courageous project right now.
Yes, sir.
I'm courageously sending out poems to magazines.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's amazing. East West Books in Seattle is having their celebration of Astrology Day, and Talk Cosmos is going to be featured on that. It's going to be a 2-hour event, and it will be on the 19th, 1 month from tomorrow, in March. That is, the spring equinox happens to be World Astrology International Day. And the whole thing, now I'm putting you on the spot, that John is going to read things with poetry, which is fabulous.
If I have some astrological New Year's poems ready, then yeah.
Well, okay. Well, we thought you did. We heard some. Okay, folks, let's bring on Jennifer. Hi, is Jennifer there? David?
Hi. Yes.
Oh, goody. Yes. Okay.
Hello.
But you sound like David. Hi, Jennifer. Greetings.
Hi, how are you?
Well, we're happy to have you. We
Thank
would
you.
love your feedback. And what did you? How did that work for you? And any questions or thoughts, please share with us.
I'm not quite sure. I mean, I don't know that much about astrology, so there were parts of it that were hard for me to have a reference to.
I'm sorry about that.
I would
Sorry.
say that definitely, though I'm not doing it right now, I am trained in like energy healing and sound healing and stuff like that. So the stuff that you said about being a healer was on point. Trying to think of what else you said. Definitely the part where you said, like, do I let someone else shine or shine myself? I definitely do see that as being a struggle in my life, because I have a tendency to like take more of a supporting role than kind of take the spotlight myself. That's not a comfortable place for me. I'm not really sure other than that. Do you have any direct questions for me?
Well, that's potent. No, yes, and that's potent, Jennifer. Thank you, because, and we will talk as lay person as possible. It's always the goal. So I appreciate you bringing that up. But it would indicate that on a daily basis that you have this healing interest and compassionate. It's very compassionate. But, sometimes our inner self and the outer self need to work together increasingly, right? Always, meaning that I can recognize, yes, this idea of how do you as an individual with all your capacity, I'm sure you're very capable. People must look to you to say, Jennifer, can you do this? Or Jennifer, what do you think? Is that true?
Yes. I would say that has been true in my life, yes.
Now, is this something that you're happy with? I mean, it's wonderful, but it's a burden also. It's a responsibility. And what about your dreams? What is it that you are hoping to shift? Is there something that you're hoping?
That's actually something I'm struggling with. I'm kind of at the what's next, or what do I really want to be doing at this point? So right now, I'm in like a transitional phase, where pretty much everything in my life is up in the air across the board. So I'm trying to working through, because it's kind of like the sky's the limit in a way, because I'm like starting from scratch. So like, what road do I actually want to take?
Yes, those exciting times, the chaos, but yet still, where is one point? John, you might have a thought here, because I was going to come up with another question.
I might have missed it, but do you say you have a practice of doing your sound work and your energy work?
I was doing sound work and energy work, but for whatever reason, I have a barrier of actually wanting to charge anyone for that. So like,
Pisces moon, I understand. It is.
So, I was just doing a lot of work and taking a lot of classes and just doing sessions for free to pretty much anyone that asked.
You're not alone. I think with all metaphysical work, whether it's astrology, whether it's any coaching in so many ways, we live in such a concrete world where you see it, you believe it. And how can it take, and I'm jumping around. In other words, it's hard to give credentials to something that seems that it's not, that you can't see and touch and feel necessarily, but you can really, as far as actions, or take a war veteran who has injuries that come back. And that, who is your audience that you like to do energy work for? Do you have a certain audience that you like to, or is Is that something you've thought about?
I don't think, I mean, like when I think of like an ideal, a group or whatever, I definitely drawn more to work with women and children. But as far as it's been, is I kind of feel like whoever has crossed my path, and kind of been led to me, or like have been compelled to offer stuff to, are people that need something that I have, and I'm more than willing to share.
Yeah. David, can I have the slides back again, David? Okay, go ahead, John.
An astrologer told me when I was starting out and I didn't want to charge money, she told me that this just stuck with me. When you charge money for what you're doing, because they will value it more and they'll be more present for what you're offering them. So just think of it is actual value. And it was
a measuring stick.
And they show up more when they've paid and they, value, right?
Yeah. Even, interestingly, I remember that too in theater. When I first went to school, I wanted to do in theater. And the very first thing he said was, no, you're not going to give away a free theater. But here, looking at your chart, even though it may not make sense to you, it's like, doctors look at their lab tests, right? But your, John, what I was looking at was that 8th house, because because there is this, and the 2nd house, actually in some ways.
So I want to explain to Jennifer what we're looking at, so she has an idea. Okay. The inner circle is your natal chart, the day you're born, where the planets were, and the outer wheel of planets is where the planets are now, because of course they keep moving. So Sue has circled in red the 8th house on the upper right, and lower left the 2nd house. That's
and they're
where
opposite.
The action's kind of happening right now.
And it is really interesting because you signed up and you were the first. I just poked you in this spot. Again, there's so much. Oh, I'm going to stop. Well, I was going to say there's so much serendipity. Do you have a spiritual practice that you do? I mean, any meditation or yoga or walking in the woods, whatever it is.
I would say not like specifically. I do a little bit of meditation. I definitely do some like clearing, more like witchy type practices.
Do you have a set place where you go to meditate when you want to meditate, so it becomes like a regular part of your regimen, I guess?
And think of meditation however you do it. If it's witchy, whatever, that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have Saturn in your 12th house, which says, let's ground the spirituality in some way. It's like, let's build a solid place where I can just sit and meditate and connect.
But it is difficult because what you're working with are the greater forces, which, anyway, go ahead. You were saying.
Well, with my living situation right now, me and my kids are living with my parents. So I don't really have like a space. Sometimes I'll do like walking meditation and go wherever I'm like kind of compelled to go that day, whether it be in the woods or a bike path or just on a street.
So you're meditating when you feel that you need to meditate and not like on a regular, like a scheduled kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
When I feel like my body needs it. Okay. If anything, I'd say like I try to do at least go outside and stand outside with like no shoes on and ground.
Wow.
Yes.
Daily
Beautiful.
basis.
All that's important. And every little bit just reminds us more. But I think grounding outside, such as you're saying, is excellent. Or music, turning on the music and just really, letting yourself have unrestricted space to imagine, to feel, to center, however it works, is really useful. I took the class of The Artist's Way, and which has been out for 40 years, whatever, a long time. And one of the primary things a person needs to do is spend private, personal time, unrestricted, just for themselves, like a date with themselves. And by doing that, just putting your feet in the ground barefoot
That's beautiful expression of that Saturn in Leo and the 12th Saturn. I'm going to ground myself, Leo. Right now, I am the queen in my meditative practice. Yeah. That's a great way to feed that Saturn. That
or do you paint or draw? Is that anywhere an interest of yours?
It is. It's not an interest that I have as much time as I like to do, but definitely when I was younger and before kids, I definitely was drawn to a lot of painting, watercolors, drawing.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in my early 20s, like when I went to college and stuff, I wanted to be a writer. So I was drawn to that type of stuff.
Jennifer, because guidance is within, and all we're doing is trying to help implement. Well, I think what John and I are doing is implementing that a routine, because you are somebody that likes a routine, but also probably routine like me is not. It's a toggle, right? It's fitting things in and it's somehow adjusting. But if you have a potpourri of things that you can do that help center you in, you can, whether it's listening to your song, whether it's dancing to the song, whether it's journaling or writing a poem or sketching something, all these are different ways to access communicating between our soul and ourself, because it shows up everywhere with your chart here. You have the moon that is in a very imaginative, energetic. It's compassionate. It's also can be no boundaries. That's the big thing that and I was going to say also, I'll back up with my sentences, that you have that creative energy here too, with where your sun is located. But boundaries are important, and your boundaries, not other people's boundaries.
I'd say that's definitely something that I've struggled with for the entirety of my life, like setting boundaries.
Me too.
Well, this is a good time the sky is saying now is a good time to practice that. So, I don't know, like setting up that schedule, that meditative schedule, or a time to do art, even if it's just like the smallest amount of time in little pockets of time during the day, just to get that in so your spirit can start to feel I'm taking care of myself, and here's a line.
That's a good idea. Just 5 minutes, even 10 minutes.
Right.
I have a calendar that was inspired, let's say, by a couple of years ago, because I was going through too many, and I am married and trying to figure out life. And so I have it on the wall. It's just how I do it. And I even lately have been scheduling activities for me that are not appointments and not dictated, but that I want to put in there. It's, I think, and I'm going with the conditioning because you're a Capricorn, and Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, just to give a little bit of credibility as to why. And that can be quite traditional, and we can be listening a lot to our parents, particularly our dad, our society, and being dutiful and responsible and all of these, and which is great assets. But yet the point is, whose drumbeat are we marching to?
You have natally also a Venus conjunct the sun in Capricorn. So there's this, Venus is saying, hey, love yourself, take care of yourself. It's all right this time around. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Do you have a class?
That's a great placement for Venus, by the way. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, yes, indeed. You have many, many strengths. Yeah. And that's the whole idea of this chironic, we're talking about forging identities, is that we have these strengths, but somehow by ourselves, they don't seem like strengths, because until we figure out, and that's the scary part sometimes. So use the courage to get past just a little tiny step in something, rather than the big, huge step that maybe is the final goal, but just to get that feeling going ahead. Because what was I saying about tiny steps, forging ahead? Oh, and that is, it has to do with, it has to do with listening and, oh goodness, I lost myself. Go ahead, John.
If you're in the middle of a circle and you just walk to the edge, you'll just go in a straight line to the edge of the circle. But try again in the center of the circle, and you just change your feet an inch, half an inch, and you walk forward. you'll be in, when you walk to the edge of the circle, you'll be in a totally different part.
Yes.
So just even the tiniest adjustments can make huge gains later.
Yep.
Definitely.
Like little boundaries, like I'm going to draw a line here, and they can be the littlest things in the world.
And sometimes journaling, like if there's fear involved, there's hidden ideas to ourselves why we're not charging, about that self-esteem and all that we have. But there's something we're listening to, and often it's standards. It's perhaps that you don't feel like you have the credentials. But I'm wondering, do you have some kind of class that you're thinking of taking that might help give you that confidence to realize that you have what it takes to are you thinking of any classes, or do you have that kind of time? You're a mother, you're single, this time it may be time is an issue. Yeah. So I'm not trying to challenge. I'm just wondering.
I have taken a lot of different courses. I do have a lot of quite a few certificates of different type of stuff like that. Usually my mindset is more that as a healer, I feel like I'm just like kind of illuminating what's already innate in everyone. So I'm feeling like, why am I charging for something that you can literally do yourself? Like you have the same skill set, like just you don't realize that you're tapping into it, or maybe you are not actively tapping into it at that time, or...
But you've taught them how to. You've led them there. You're the guide.
And besides, you have that innate sense of oneness. So you would see, and then that's the moon in Pisces, that you naturally see how it interconnects. It's a real strength. But by doing so, you are also a master, because masters see it as pretty simple because they've worked and worked and worked at it. And it seems like everybody knows it, but no, that's not true. It's your ability. And besides that, if you take 5 stories, they all have love themes, but there's trillions of them because they speak differently to different people. So I think part of this is maybe I'm going to go towards being more inclusive about what you do for yourself and doing something creative, along with this idea of scheduling something, because it'll start opening doors. Or finding a community that you can lead. Maybe that's part of it. That will show you what you are, or an email. Go ahead, John.
You could, 1 or 2 times, charge a fee, see how that feels. Even if it's like just the lowest amount, just see how that feels to receive that money for what you do. That'd be like the littlest step in the circle where you're going to change your steps just a little bit.
Do you have a website, or how is your business?
No, actually, I did have a website, but I really in the past year I let everything go. I let all that go.
Do you like YouTube? Can you do a YouTube just 15, 20 minutes a day and just start talking?
It's funny that you suggest that, because actually my best friend is trying to get me to collaborate with her on something like that. But she lives about 45 minutes away. So we were like, where would we do it? But yeah.
You can Zoom together, like John and I are doing. We're on StreamYard, but I'm not sure why you have to be together. All the time.
We're Hawaii and Seattle.
Yeah, I'm in Hawaii and John's in Seattle, and you're on the East Coast. I have people around the world. No, do that, Jennifer. And we only have a couple of minutes. Well, we have 3 minutes, 2 minutes. So that's why I'm getting a little urgent here. But that really shows your creativity. It would be you shining and the collaboration, because Venus does like a partner, and that works really well. And I've been told that in YouTube, you can learn with the AI how to search engine optimization, all those factors. It's a learning curve, and you can get Canva for free and do a thumbnail. There's so many aspects, but that will generate, you never know. You might, first it inspires you, it fulfills your sense of worth and gives, there's all kinds of ways that can go and be imaginative. Like you might have people have classes, or you might have feedback. I mean, John?
Just find the source that you want to use, whether it's YouTube or what else. Is there Instagram? There's Facebook. You can do a lot of different things.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Jennifer.
you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Good. I know you'll have a lot to share. It'll be exciting. So
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and wish you a wonderful voyage with your own courage to go forward into these new ventures, because little tiny steps build that whole experience and new identity. It's like being on a ship or walking across some trail. Yes, John?
You said it.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Do subscribe, and we'll be back next week with the moon. Okay. Blessings.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.